we go, ladies, and welcome to episode 22 of the Survive and Thrive Challenge. I'm Laura Brandao, and we are here to open our hearts and our minds as we share our personal and professional journeys as we adapt to our new world. All right, we have our all-women panel here, and let me introduce who we have with us this evening. From New Mexico, we have Jackie Dunlop. She is the broker-owner of Next Generation Home Loans. From beautiful Florida here, we have Debbie Hoffman. She is the founder and CEO of Symmetry Blockchain Advisors. And from Georgia, we have Melanie Walburg. She is the broker owner of Destiny Mortgage Lending. Okay, ladies, take us back. Here we are. We're going back to March, the beginning of March, the middle of March, as we're hearing things. We're not really sure what's happening, but heck, the mortgage business has its own time that we're focused in on. Jackie, take me back to that beginning of March and what was happening professionally, personally, as all of this change is occurring.
Yeah, so I'd actually lived in Colorado my whole life, and a year ago this summer, my little boy was diagnosed with some pretty significant dyslexia. We found a really good therapist in New Mexico, and literally I was like, I think we need to move and give him a chance at this other place. So I had literally just made a trip to Colorado. My husband had stayed in Colorado while I took the kids to New Mexico because we were fix and flippers as well in Colorado.
Okay.
We were finishing up some properties to put them on the market. So I got into town really late. I woke up really early the next morning and saw a post on Facebook. And I literally thought I was going to vomit about what was going on in the market. And I normally get up about 4 o'clock in the morning, and I started crying. And I went and woke up my husband, and I was like, okay, I'm really sorry, but I'm gonna need you to wake up because I really need to talk to you in like 15 minutes. I'll give you 15 minutes to wake up. And I'm like reading this text message to him, and I'm like, what are we gonna do? We had $1 million in real estate that was supposed to hit the market. And I was devastated. I was like, we're not even gonna be able to sell this. And it was a position that if we didn't sell it, it was gonna ruin us. It would have ruined us. Yeah. And I just remember going to the one property that we were actually, I had come to town because we were supposed to sell one of our properties. That's right. We were signing on Friday, and the buyer was going to sign on Monday. And on Sunday night at 8:30, he called and canceled because he was a barber, and they had just gotten executive orders to close.
Oh.
And that's when I was like, I mean, I have goosebumps right now.
Yeah.
I remember being at our other property that we had that was a duplex. And also at the time, somebody had posted that they were literally closing the borders of Washington. And I was like, my babies were in New Mexico with my oldest daughter. And I was like, we have to go. Like, we can't get stuck in Colorado. Our babies are in New Mexico. Oh. And I remember I did a live. I don't even remember what I talked about in the live. Something about, I think, talking about what was going on in mortgages. Like, I don't even remember. Like, I don't even remember. I just remember we were trying so hard to finish what we needed to do and just get out of Dodge and get back to New Mexico before they were going to close the borders. I had also just hired 2 operations staff, guaranteed them a salary, and they were supposed to go to Success Track in April. And it was like, how am I going to pay these people?
Wow.
Now. And
all right. So what's running through your brain? So obviously it sounds like you've got all kinds of emotion happening here, right? So you're crying, you've got anxiety, not only personal plus professional, you've got everything kind of going on here. How are you dealing with it? How are you getting through this at this point in terms of how to just kind of get it together?
I gave myself a minute, and then I realized that I would have 4 little people watching me. And I thought, I have to be the example of how to show up in hard times. And I texted a really well-respected person in the industry and said, I don't know what to do. What am I going to do? And I remember the response back was, you got to focus on what you can control. And I was like, What can I control?
I can't even find toilet paper, right? What can I control here?
With 4 kids in the house, what am I to control? And I just, in that moment, I broke and I cried for hours. I didn't know. I had no idea what I was going to do. None.
Wow. Well, number one, what a great piece of advice for everyone in terms of when a situation like that happens, that actually is when you need to use your friends, your family, your network, your tribe of whoever that is. And I have to tell you, I realized some of the closest people that are, I didn't even realize that they were that close of friends at the time until that was going on, and then I was like, wow, now I realize how close of friends they are. So you did the right thing, Jackie. And we all want to be super moms, super leaders, super business owners, super everything. But there's times when we need that support and we need to know we're all going through it and we have to have that network. So thank you for sharing that. And of course, I love the second part of this show when we go through what we learned and how we came out of it, because I know for sure that you certainly did figure it out and thrive through that. So thank you for taking us back through that emotional journey, what that was like. All right, Debbie. What's going on in your world during that time?
So I'm going to take you back to the middle of February.
Okay.
And life was really good. It was a big birthday for me, and I planned a very large party. So not very large, but 50 people. And so I threw this party at the end of February and had all my friends and the band and just people, and we're hugging and dancing, and it's just life. So the reason I say that is just because I thought about that so much. That was February 29th.
Oh, wow. So, right. That is, Ooh, right? Okay.
So a week, the week goes by and it's beginning to slow down, but the first week in March, people were still doing things. And I remember, but we were reading the news headlines and it was a little strange. And I had a lot of family here still visiting from the party, but everybody was beginning to think going to go back home within the next week. So life goes on and we're reading about what's going on in the paper, and work is just as usual. I had a trip planned to Austin for South by Southwest. I had a trip planned to DC for a business meeting, and I'm preparing for my trips, and I actually do a lot by Zoom already because I do work with a lot of entrepreneurs and a lot of growing businesses. And so we do a lot by video. But that first week in March, my daughter goes back she was on spring break and she goes back to college on Monday. I think it was the week of March 9th. She goes back to school and I start I do my work thing, working with my clients and getting ready for my trip. And then what happened was South by Southwest got canceled.
Yeah.
And which is huge. I mean, that's a huge conference. And then my meeting in DC also ends up getting canceled.
Yeah.
And so I had been doing all of this research for my meeting in DC it was mortgage industry things. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden the shift of what the work that I had been preparing for that changes completely. Like those aren't the issues the mortgage industry is worried about anymore. Like
no.
in a week. So I still ended up having that meeting, but it was like I really had to quickly turn on what are the topics of interest. So anyway, in the next few weeks, obviously we all know life changed and everything. People are trying to scramble on these Zoom meetings, and I'm also a professor in my classes. I remember like the last day I had my class on, I think it was the 12th of March, and I said to my students, well, I don't know what's going to happen, but I think we're going online next week. And sure enough, the next we had a week to prepare for our online classes, our shift, and we went online. And I would assure the students just we're going to get to normal. I don't know what normal is, but let's just continue with our studies, and tried to give them a little bit of leeway, but everybody was completely freaked out. My daughter returned home from college after being there for less than a week. When she was sent home, she came back from Michigan and just didn't even take any of her things with her. And then I think a week after that, we were told we had to get all her things from the dorm. I definitely freaked out then, because I'm like, how am I supposed to get to Michigan when nobody's flying and all her things are in the dorm? So there was this mix of challenge of business and a lot in personal, I would say. My whole family is in New York City, my parents and my sister, and I started to call them every day as the news from New York City. And I actually started listening to their governor because I was worried about my family there. And I literally just every day, like, what's going on?
He did a great job. I will definitely give props for him. He did excellent. Great job. He led us through this.
He gave everybody in New York, from what I understand, something to hold on to. Like every day they're like, oh, we can't talk to you right now. We got to tune into what's going on. And
I mean, when he stopped that, like, we didn't know what to do in the tri-state area. We literally, like, we're like, what do you mean? Like, we're not going to have that to look at anymore. People looked forward to it. It was like President Roosevelt's fireside chats. I mean, everybody like looked forward to it. So,
no question.
So so go ahead. Don't want to interrupt, but that really was great.
It was great. It was good. And I would talk. And then I just went into like, okay, I'm going to clean my house mode. Like every day I'm going to try and do something in my house. Right. So so everybody did that. And I, every day I made sure I did one project in the house because I was like, I'm not going to waste this 2 months. We're all productive and we have to make sure that we're doing something. Right. And I just, started taking it day by day and making sure I got out every day for a walk or a bike ride or something like that. So, and just, took it day by day.
What about your company? Was everybody working remotely? Did you have to send people to work remotely, or what happened there?
I am particularly lucky because I am in a very tech savvy company. So I work with the mortgage industry, though that is my focus. But that being said, we were still able to very easily transition into our calls, into using GoToMeeting and Zoom. And so from a business perspective, feel like I'm a little bit of the luckier ones because I was already in a industry that's trying to push mortgage forward. And this is like, to me, I'm like, oh my gosh, Ron, remote online notary.
Yeah.
We've been struggling with that for and all of a sudden, like, I'm in a very, from a business perspective, it's not a terrible thing to see this going on.
No, right? I mean, that's one of the things which we're going to speak about, the changes in the industry, but that's one of the good that's going to come out of this. It forced us. We're all looking to do everything, e-closings and Ron and all of that. I mean, we're never going back. I mean, I've had people on the show that literally were paper files before this. Can you imagine? I'm shocked by that, right? But oh no, Melanie just held up paper.
Was it FedEx to you, right?
Yeah. On the fax machine, right? Did it come over on the fax? Yeah. So, but they had to change their entire company to being paperless due to this. And of course, they're never going to go back. But I had one guest that spoke about they literally rolled out Encompass during this because they said, well, we have to. And I was like, wow, kudos to you to be able to do that. But it forced us. So to go back to, from a business standpoint, that's great. So wonderful. All right. And your daughter settled in with doing online and all of that?
We got her things packed up by a service up there, and she's home and my son is home, and they're both working online and comfortable. Yes.
So what about this semester? Is everything still online or what's happening?
It's students' choice to some degree, and both of them are staying remote in our house, and they have desks set up and they're ready to go. Yeah.
Good. Awesome. Yeah. Wonderful. That's great. All right, Melanie, what was happening in Georgia over there?
I gotta tell you, like the end of February, I mean, life was good. Like we had come back from a really great trip to Costa Rica at the beginning of February, and the end of February, we signed on, personally speaking, signed up with a contractor for a major expensive home improvement. And then come March, I had my daughter was, winding down her senior year. She was looking forward to all of the senior events in the spring. So, everything it just all came to a screeching halt. Like the news, it just overwhelmed us. Like in March, there was just so much stuff coming at us. Like we didn't know even what to believe. Like, well, this channel is saying this channel is saying this. Well, this person on Facebook said this. I mean, there was like rumors that there was going to be martial law and, National Guard was going to take over the streets. And And so, I mean, it was very scary. You know, we didn't know what was going to happen. And so my mother, she's 72 and she lives alone and she lives about an hour away from me. So I convinced her, and she's very much a homebody and very independent. I have no idea where I got that from, but she's very independent and she doesn't want any help from anyone. But I finally convinced her to come stay with us. I'm like, she's like, well, I have a whole Melanie, I have a whole refrigerator of groceries. I'm like, we do too, Mom, come on. So I finally convinced her to come stay with us, and she stayed with us for like 6 weeks. We put our home improvement on hold because, of course, at that time too, business-wise, there were rumors that government lending was going to completely dry up. And no more VA loans, no more FHA loans. And I mean, I cried. I mean, for a totally different reason than Jackie did. I cried because I just didn't, I mean, I'm the breadwinner for my family. My husband is disabled. And it was just such turmoil. I was worried for my daughter. I didn't want her senior year, the spring, they had so much stuff planned for the seniors at school. I didn't want it to all be ruined. I didn't want to cancel or void a contract with the contractor, who's also a personal friend of ours. They needed the income. I wanted to pay them. I wanted the work done, but we had to just say, you know what, we're going to have to postpone it. And we love you guys and we really do want the work done at the house, but we don't know what's going to happen with this virus. It could make us all sick if you do the work at our house. I might not be able to afford to pay you because the loans may completely dry up. I may not be able to provide loans. And then I was worried for my borrowers. I mean, more than half, roughly half of my loan volume is purchases. And I always strive to get everybody closed on time and, get them into the house that they want. And it was just all so heartbreaking because I'm like, I don't know if I'm a people pleaser. I'm like, how do I please people? How do I make my daughter happy? How do I make this contractor happy? How do I pay him? How do I get my borrowers closed on time? I always close everybody on time. So there was just so many unknowns, and the media was really fueling it. It would get to a point where I'm like, we just can't watch this anymore because it's scaring me to death, and then the rumors about the government loans and loans drying up, that was incredibly frightening. I mean, I'm sure Jackie can speak to that too. Like, we had borrowers, we had people under contract to buy homes that had already paid for appraisals, they'd already paid the earnest money, they've already paid for home inspections, and they're on tight funds, limited funds, and they may not be able to buy their houses. I mean, what? I mean, so that's where I was. It was very scary. And I mean, this was so unprecedented. Like, nobody saw it coming. If I just saw it coming, I wouldn't have refinanced my house.
I was going to say, you would have waited.
I totally waited, but I refinanced my own house because I'm like, wow, rates hit rock bottom.
Your crystal ball must not have been working properly, Melanie.
So here's what I tell my borrowers now. I'm like, when you wash your car and you feel like you've made it rain? Well, I refinanced my own house. So now you get an interest rate that starts with the number 2. You're welcome. I made it happen for everyone because I refinanced my own house.
I love the way that perspective is. So listen, even just as you guys are speaking about this, doesn't it almost like bring the emotion back, right? Because we all were feeling the same thing, right? We all had this, we lost all control. We're all strong, powerful women that like to, I got this, I'm taking care of the family, I'm taking care of the business, I'm going to make everything wonderful for everyone else, right? Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden we're faced with, well, I can't make my daughter's senior year be wonderful. I can't, take care of this move to New Mexico. And I can't, help all my clients and have my daughter have this great college experience. We couldn't control those things. We had to just go with it and allow it. And the good news is now we get to speak about what we've learned from all of that. Okay. So the way that I always like to say this is, if you had the magic wand And we went back to January or last year at this time, and it went back. But yet you were able to learn from this experience things that you actually won't give up. Lessons that you're like, you know what? I had to learn that because now I'm doing this better, or now I'm changing how I look at these things. What are some of the things you've changed because of this and lessons you've learned? So, Jackie, I know you've been up to a lot of things, so share with us.
So I actually had a failure in operation in November of last year and took a pretty significant ding to my reputation with my clients. I was not performing. I had built up a pipeline that I couldn't handle, and went to Fuse where we heard ISHBSA, you got to step up your operations. You've got to sacrifice, even if it means sacrificing your income, and step up your operations. And I thought, this is not something I will do again. I will not take a ding to my reputation like this again. When I got that message from my colleague, and after I gave myself a moment, I really started to say, okay, what can I control? Okay, I can't control a bunch of things, but what can I control? And one of the things that I did that I didn't know Deb Hoffman was really versed in was I started emailing all of the state representatives for the state of Colorado, because Colorado does not, or previously prior to executive order, did not recognize RON for mortgages. So I emailed all of our representatives. They were like, hey, governor's coming out with this. It came out, the secretary's assistant sent it to me, and I was like, we missed the mark on this, I think. Started talking with the Secretary of State and found out that the executive order didn't cover RON. So I started emailing again, and then Governor Polis came out with an additional executive order that instituted RON. He thought that Secretary of State could override, and Secretary of State Legal said, no, we can't, due to it, what kind of law it is. We can't override RON. So the governor came out with an additional executive order. And at that moment, I began to feel like there's things I can do here.
Yes.
There's things I can do here. I was a corporate trainer in my past. And so I thought, okay, well, we're not doing very many loans right now, so I'll train the team. Well, in March in Irvine, we had the first women's mortgage network with you, Laura. And we talked about the pending need to get fresh, young millennials and Gen Zs into the mortgage industry. And how you challenged us to say, how can I be intentional in this space? And it really wasn't on my radar. But as I started training my people, I reached back to some other people that said, hey, how would I get into mortgage? And I said, hey, I'm gonna train my staff, you wanna come? And then I started saying to other brokers, like, hey, I started posting like, hey, I'm doing this free Zoom, like, pull up a chair, come on. And the feedback that I started to get was like, this is awesome. Well, I had already tried twice to onboard operations staff and failed miserably. They left because they felt that they couldn't do a good job for me, not because they couldn't do it. I didn't have the time to train them.
Yeah. And that's a very common theme, Jackie, in our industry.
Yes. We wait until we're way too overburdened. And so I thought, I've been given the gift of time. So now I can actually train them without competing for my time in the business. I ain't gonna make any money anyway right now. So and so then people were like, oh, I couldn't come to your live today. Like kind of as things started coming back online, products started opening up a little bit more. We were able to start doing loans. People were like, hey, I couldn't go to your live today. Like, did you, can you record it? And I was like, yeah, I'm gonna put it up on YouTube. So then I just started saying to people like, hey, go watch my YouTube channel. All of our past videos are over there. It's there for free. And then we started, like, I was telling my husband, like, hey, we kind of need to, like, maybe we should, like, organize this a little bit more. So we spent a couple $1,000s, got a website, took a class, like, how you, like, make these into, like, a classroom and whatever. And I was like, babe, we should probably, like, maybe we should, like, charge a little bit so we can make the money back for the website and stuff. And it was like the minute we put it together, people were like, oh, it's a thing. I was like, what are we doing? Oh, we're doing the thing. Okay, let's do the thing. And I know that it works, because it was how I trained my people, because it was how I needed them to come in. Yeah. Like, I didn't need you to go do 20 hours somewhere else to take a test. I need you to know how to register a loan and get that thing submitted. I don't care if you know Reg X's. I mean, I care. I care. Compliance people watching, I care. about reggae.
We all care about those compliance pieces.
Oh, absolutely.
So
wow, that is awesome, Jackie. So how many people have actually like gone through this already? I'm curious.
So we have 33 people in boot camp right now. Total between junior processing, a self-paced processing course, and boot camp. When this boot camp finishes on Saturday, just over 200 people in the last 60 days have gone and been injected into the mortgage broker community.
Oh my goodness. Great job.
Yeah.
Great job. That is awesome.
That's really
so
awesome,
needed. You know, and you said, I mean, do you see the power that we have? Do you see what we can do when we just focus and we set forth a goal and saying, using no more education or knowledge than what you already had. You already had it. All you did was focus on something, and you also had the best intention. That's the other reason why it's successful, Jackie, is that you went into it with having, I'm going to help the industry. I'm going to help other people. We all need this. It's a, absolute 100% required in our business. We all see it. I mean, I can't even tell you, every day I'm on these calls. You can't find processors. You can't find loan officer assistants. You can't forget about underwriters. So good luck finding an underwriter. I mean, but your people are on the path to become underwriters, someday. You know what I mean? Like they can eventually go if they want to. Not everybody wants to go on that path, but they can if they so choose. So whatever people decide to do, you've given them that foundation. And it all started with, okay, I've got this time. How do I have a need, and I want to do good for the industry.
Yeah.
And that's why. So kudos. Absolutely. So, wow, you must be very busy right now, I'm assuming.
I ended class today 10 minutes early because I got an alert to walk, and I was like, y'all, we're going to go lunch early today. I got to go walk. We'll be back.
Oh, love it, love it, love it. Well, great job. Keep that going. All right, Deb, tell us what's happening over there.
I got to ask Jackie and you guys, and all of you ladies, a question about this though. How can we take all of the people that are not working and are struggling for jobs and move them to the needs in the mortgage industry? They need to take Jackie's class. There's just such an opportunity there. So 100%. That's my little plug.
I advertise for it. I actually go out and say, if you've been impacted by COVID and you want to see what we're doing, come and join the junior processing course. I've actually, to date, of the 200 people that have been trained, we've scholarshiped 15 people.
That's great.
I never want the cost of it. It was never meant to do anything other than recoup our expenses. But I have 2 women right now in boot camp who were devastated financially by COVID. They said, listen, you got 3 days, we record it, we'll put it in this portal. I'll teach you how to have a new career. And I have, of the 200, there's probably 50 people that have invested in themselves in their own way. And then I go to brokers and I say, you want someone who's willing to work for you? This person just spent X amount of dollars to get this class during COVID. They got to get their monies back. They are trying desperately to support their family. So I do also go out in community pages that I'm a part of and say, listen, come check out what we're doing. We're so understaffed. Come check out what we're doing.
We are.
Plenty of seats here.
And you're correct, Abby. I mean, there's such a need. There's so many people that worked in industries that were just decimated. They can't go back and they need a new career. And we all know the mortgage industry is such a wonderful industry to have a long-standing career. So that's great. That's wonderful.
Yeah, that's really cool, Jackie. Thank you for how do I follow that? So let me, I'll tell you a little bit, the Thrive side. I didn't really tell you what happened in April, May, June. So in May, I'm going to start personal again. Well, let's start with the truth. I had a birthday party and I got a lot of wine. So somebody had to drink the wine. So what I learned is always keep wine in the house and get it for a party if you don't have it. But for seriously, the technology advancements that our industry is embracing now is incredible. So I'm a blockchain consultant in the mortgage, the real estate finance industry. For 3 years, I have beating my head against a wall to get our industry to, let's move forward. We have this electronic mortgage opportunity, and then we can use what's called blockchain to enhance that. All of a sudden, this isn't such a foreign concept to people anymore in our industry. And so I've just watched, not, of course there's downsides, but from the upside of how our industry is embracing this, and because we have to. And I am very excited about what this means for the future, what this means about an electronic mortgage in the mortgage life cycle from start to finish, including capital markets and all of that. So that's definitely an area where I'm excited about and thriving. Again, from a personal perspective, my parents were in New York City. My sister was in New York City in the middle of May. They came, to Florida, they quarantined. My parents now they're renting a house here for a year. And so the thrive there is, I have never spent this much time with my parents on a day-to-day basis. And, since I was a child. And so the thrive is that we have learned to appreciate having my college children here and my parents here and cooking dinners. And I'm sure this gets said every week, but whoever thought we're working people, we work from morning till night, but yet we can walk into the kitchen and have a full family dinner. It's amazing. And to get to know our family members again, and where we get to know each other, of course, too, but even knowing what these annoyances are is incredible. And I do know life will go back, but we will have had this look back on this time and know our family and know that we had. So I definitely appreciate that.
What happened with, obviously, I would think you traveled a lot previously. Yes. So that has to be a big change also, right?
It's huge. And I do think we don't know where that's going to be in the future. Will my clients demand that we see each other face to face? No, I have to tell you, I'm a huge proponent of face to face. Laura, I want to be able to see you in person one day and shake your hand. I really want to get there. And same with Jackie and Melanie. And I think while this is wonderful, and we've had these wonderful Zoom calls with, I have weekly calls with mortgage women and friends from high school. We need to see each other. So
yeah, listen, that Jackie mentioned the Women's Mortgage Network, that we had our first in-person event. What was that? March 5th? Was that March 5th? Is that the date? I think it was March 5th. So literally right about when this was happening. Yep. And what I remember most is the amount of hugging and how close we were. And I think about that and I'm like, I couldn't even imagine that now. But you're right, Debbie. The feeling that we had, that closeness, that bond. I agree with you. I absolutely 100% agree that you do. At some point, it will get there again. It will. Yeah. It absolutely will in due time. Due time. So this is great. I'm happy to hear the mortgage business has kind of fast forwarded and said, okay, we're embracing technology, which agree. We had to. There was no question about it. We had to do it, and that's wonderful, and it's necessary. It's good for our clients. It's good for the whole experience, right? So that's great. So you're seeing everyone embrace and kind of say, "Yep, I want to do this." That's great. All right, wonderful.
Oh, there's initiatives. I mean, I think that there's resources out there now that will help companies do that too. So, Mismo and MBA and some of the other companies, there are, so the industry is going to has the resources to be able to move forward and recognizes the importance of it for sure.
Right.
So, and then I have to get two more things in there just to tell you so number one is I will never take a restaurant for granted again. Being able to go and eat a meal that's hot, that I don't have to clean up afterwards, because I do takeout now. It's not the same. And so that's number one. And number two is my mantra has been day by day, week by week. And I think throughout, until we get through this, I still think that's helping to get through and to thrive day by day. Don't look too far ahead, because it will make you crazy. So.
Agreed. Very good advice. Very good. All right, Melanie. And I do want to hear about your daughter's senior year. I have to hear how that went before you tell us the thriving part.
Well, it's just so bizarre. I mean, she got the T-shirt that says, I forgot, senior class of 2020, the year we were quarantined. Oh. And I'm like, she's like, I didn't want to be the senior that was the year we were quarantined, and so I get it. I mean, they had, lunches planned and prom and senior yearbook signing, and she was at home. I mean, they shut school in March and she was home. They finally eventually did have her graduation. It was like, I don't know, the middle of July, and but it wasn't the same. It just, I don't know. It's all everything. Like Debbie said. I mean, I took everything for granted. I mean, wearing the mask. I really hate going anywhere because I hate wearing a mask. But it's kind of our civil duty to do it. If we love people, we love our families, we love other people, we're going to do it. It's the right thing to do. But I went to the grocery store with my daughter a few weeks ago, and I had my mask on, and I said to her, we were, walking down the aisles, I said, I really hate wearing this mask. I'm smiling at everyone, and they don't even know.
I know.
And she goes, well, Mom, they know you're squinting at them. And I'm like, that's true. When I smile, my eyes get like this. So I pass people on the aisles and I'm just squinting at them as I'm smiling. I mean, it's just not the same. Nothing's the same anymore. But we got through it. I mean, my daughter's okay. She's actually at the park today with her friend. I mean, the COVID-19 is pretty bad. I mean, it's pretty bad now in our community. I think it's worse in our community now than it was when we were so freaked out and scared about it. But it's kind of at the point now, like, we have to kind of resume some sense of normalcy. So she wanted to go we have a track around the park. She wanted to go do some laps with a friend. And I'm like, go. I mean, she's 18. I can't just
lock her in the house, right?
I mean, we can't put her in a bubble. It reminds me of that John Travolta movie, The Boy in the Plastic Bubble. I mean, we can't do that. It's a miserable existence that way. We picked up. We called the contractor back, and we've
good
home construction. Yeah,
good.
So that's a good thing. We're pretty excited to get everything done, and on a professional level, it's boomed. I mean, I know you all know, but June. So right now, my company is me. My entire company is me. I do compliance, I do originating, I do the processing. And in June, I had a record month for me. I had 37 closings in the month.
Wow, that's great, Melanie. Congrats.
And then, so for August, I'll have my second best month. And so because of that, I am expanding. So this fall, it's probably going to be by the beginning of January. I've got 3 employees waiting in the wings, ready to come on to help me out, because I've been working like 7 days a week for the last 6 or 7 weeks. And like Jackie said, you get to a point where you're just completely burnt out. You can't handle the volume anymore. And I can handle the volume, but I don't want to work on Sundays. I mean, I get up, I go to the office, I leave the office and watch church on live streaming, and then back to the office. I'm like, it shouldn't be that way. I should be able to enjoy my family time. Especially when I've got a good friend that's a retail loan officer. She's ready to come on board to offer lower interest rates and more loan products.
And also, Melanie, you want to take advantage of all those families you can help, right? There's more families that you can help if you add to your team. So going back to what Jackie first said, that, when Matt said, work on your ops and be able to expand, you have many families that are looking for your company to help them. So yes, get that team, build that, now's the time.
I can help more borrowers, but I'll be helping the people that work for me too, because I know what money they're making now, they're going to come more working with me. So,
of course. Look at all the people you're helping.
Yeah, I just wish I could do it right now, but Jackie knows. We talk a lot. I mean, I'm just overwhelmed right now. I can't even do the paperwork involved with growing because I have to take care of my summer crazy loan volume.
Sure.
So, but I have a goal. It's going to be done by the end of December, and I cannot wait. But these record months have been amazing. These interest rates are amazing. I'm really thankful the government loan products never went away.
Nope.
Yeah.
They weren't very pretty for a while.
Right.
It was kind of ugly, but it never went away. And now look at the rates today. I mean, the vast majority of the population is either smart to buy a new house or refinance the one they've already got, because I mean, I think interest rates last I heard are like the lowest they've been in like 55 years.
I think ever, isn't it? I think it might be record. I think it's ever now. Yeah.
It's kind of funny because you remember like 4 or 5 years ago, there was all this advertising. Rates are at record lows. You know, several of the online sources. Rates are at record lows. Take advantage. And now we say rates are at record lows, and people are like, "Yeah, right." Really are.
Really are. But that's okay. We have to thank Melanie for it, because remember, she refied. So because she refied, look at what great rates we
the market.
I didn't give myself a rate starting with a 2. Mine starts with a 3. But oh well.
That's it. Awesome. Well, you ladies are amazing. I can't even express like how wonderful you are, and I love the power here. You know what I mean? Like just the power of you. You guys are so strong, and look at what you've done. You should be very proud of yourselves and continue all that. Now I get to hear who's going to join me next week. All right. So Jackie, who do we have?
So there was a big event that happened yesterday, and I reached out to this gal and was like, "Hey girl, what you doing next week?" And she was like, "I don't know why." And I was like, "You should go and do Survive and Thrive with Laura." And she's like, "What's that?"
I'll tell you all about it.
I did. So Claire Mahoney is going to join you.
Okay. That is wonderful.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I love Claire very much. She is wonderful, and I can't wait to have her on next week. That's great. Awesome. Debbie, who do I have the pleasure of having?
All right, you have a real pleasure in Terry Davis. She is from Ellie Mae. She's the VP and head of client management. She's based in California. She is a colleague. I consider her a friend. Just an amazing powerhouse, wonderful woman. So you'll enjoy her.
Awesome. It was funny. I don't have the pleasure of knowing Terry before meeting her next week, but I noticed she's on the Women of Influence list in the MBA. So I was like, look at that. I recognize her name now.
Yes,
so, and
exactly.
That's the other joy I have when we do things like this. Now, I know Jackie and Melanie know each other already, but now Debbie also knows Jackie and Melanie, and like now we all know each other. So I love the fact that all the different parts of our industries get to come together. That's awesome. All right, Melanie, who do we have?
I am going to nominate Kimberly Castain.
Awesome.
Oh, New Mexico.
Yes. Kimberly is amazing, and you should, if you get a chance to hear her background story, of how she's taken over her company.
Oh.
Hear it.
Oh, I will make a note of that. And I actually think I'm going to have all West Coast. So I think she's in Oregon, right? Claire, isn't she? Is she over in Oregon?
Yep.
Yeah. So we're going to have all West Coast. All right. Awesome. All right. Well, ladies, you have been amazing. Be well. Continue to rock it out there. Thank you so much. Have a good one.
Thank you, Laura. What a pleasure.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.